DJ Farside, however you want to look at it. And we are here, Stand and Deliver. It had just ended. And man, if you missed it, then you missed it because it was a great show. Let's get to the first match. And the first match started off with a bang with Ricky Saints defending his North American Championship against Ethan Page. Now, these two guys are AEW guys. So seeing them start off this event together in the opener was something different. It was so magical, and it was great seeing them too. It seemed like they had better chemistry together, almost as if they were in the same promotion somewhere else. Now, I will say that Ricky Saints, although he has had a great run here in NXT so far, to me, put on some of his best work in this match. And I think it's because of Ethan Page, which did to me the same thing. Ethan Page, he was going back and forth with him. He ended up eventually hitting Mr. Ricky with Ego's Edge, and Ricky counted out. He kicked out 1-2, which was a new thing that doesn't really happen, but it happened. Somehow Ricky got busted up in the mouth, but otherwise, besides being in utter pain, he pulled through with the victory by getting his victory shot and beating Mr. Ethan Page. Now, it was a good match going back and forth. Ricky was taking a lot of punishment. You can tell he was really, really hurt and beat up, but it was a good match and wasn't nothing too crazy to talk about as far as highlights. Otherwise, great match. Next, we had the NXT Tag Team Championships with Fraxium, Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus Hank and Tank. Now, look, I didn't think those two were going to win. I thought that was their way of rewarding them with a great match based on their behavior and what they've been doing in their work ethic all year. But they actually beat Fraxium. They were going back and forth, and Fraxium was hitting all type of moves when it comes to shooting star presses, some missile drop kicks, golden ratio by Axiom, and they were just kicking out of everything. Hank and Tank weren't going. So then we get to the closing marks, and look, I guess Hank decided to do a suicide dive, missed entirely, and hit the announce table and was laying there like dead, like flat. They had to check his pulse because he wasn't moving. So that happened, and then Tank was getting beat up by the other two, got pinned 1-2, and miraculously Hank slid back in the ring and broke it up. And everybody's like, I thought he was just done. Even the announcer was like, he's done. Corey Graves, he's done. He's done. He's done everything but say he's cooked. Otherwise, either way, the guys came together. They end up jumping. Nathan Frazier beat him up and got the 1-2-3. Now we have new tag team champions. Now, I don't know how long these two are going to hold the belts, but I feel like it's NXT's way of rewarding them for their work ethic and telling them that, yes, you guys are great on screen, and yes, your time has come, and yes, we might be doing something else with Nathan Frazier and Axiom. Plus, it's all apparent. I mean, they both had singles matches on the main roster individually recently anyway, showing just how great they were with, for Axiom going against the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther and having, to me, a classic against him, and Nathan Frazier going up against the debuting Rey Fenix. So I think those two are going to get caught up very, very soon as after WrestleMania. So then we slide into our next match. Our next match, which would be, if I'm remembering right, the Women's North American Championship match with Saraya, Kalani Jordan, Soruka, Izzy Dane, Lola Vice, and Thea Hale, right? So they were going against each other, all this for the 6-woman tag match. I cannot do you justice as far as how much carnage was in the match. Just know that Lola Vice tried to do her back fist thing. She missed and hit the ladder. I know that hurt. And then Soruka ended up doing her soul snatcher finisher out of nowhere to 2 or 3 different people back to back. She was beating people down. It was a good match. And eventually Zarya and Soruka was at the top of the ladder looking at each other like, man, look, I don't want to fight you. I know we're friends, but one of us got to win, so something's got to happen. So eventually they fought, and they headbutt each other and got knocked down. Soruka got the best of her, and Soruka ended up getting the belt down, and she is your new North American champion. Great match. Everybody looked like they could have won at some point, except for Thea Hale. But I really like for Thea Hale to win, but hey, we got what we got, and I'm pretty sure Soruka deserves it. I really like Soruka. Now we have the D'Angelo family versus Dark Side and Dark State. Now this is when things get kind of crazy, because not only was this a great match, but the energy was off, right? And the energy was off because Tony D'Angelo was not trying to tag himself in. He was not trying to get tagged by Stacks. Stacks wanted him to get in, even though his other partner was trying to bring him in. Tony D wasn't going for it. He didn't even have his hand out to get tagged, just sitting there looking like, which is crazy. So you're thinking that he's going to turn on Stacks. Well, besides it being a great match and Deion Lennox, like going crazy. If you don't know Deion Lennox, he's like the off-brand Jason Jordan. And when he fights and he has an attitude and he has a temper, he just goes crazy. He had a temper out there. He was beating up the other team. They was trying to get him to stop. Sugars was trying to calm him down. He pushed Sugars and continued to try to fight, and they had to calm him down, which I think is a great character trait for somebody like that, and as a part of such a vicious, animalistic group. Long story short, everybody on that side was looking great. Everybody on the family side was looking great until Stacks decided to bring in some crowbars. Now, Tony's like, why would you bring in crowbars? After a while, Tony did eventually tag himself in and start beating the people up on his own accord, so that was cool. But seriously, why would you bring in crowbars? Tony took the crowbar, threw it on the ground. He grabbed the other crowbar. Stacks didn't let his grip go. So the other guy ended up knocking Stacks into Tony. They ended up getting back on the same page, beating up the other team. And when Stacks was about to throw his crowbar away, or like he was about to attack Tony, he ended up handing the crowbar to the referee. They hugged it out. Everybody thought everything was cool. Didn't happen. As soon as Tony turned around, Stacks hit him with a low blow. Pow! And turned his back on the family. And later on, he got in his car. And his partner, Cristiano, whatever his name, was like, what are you doing? Why'd you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Dude's like, hey, just don't worry about it. Just stay close to your phone. I'll text you my location. We'll talk about it then. I gotta go. I'll see you Tuesday. And then he just drove off. Now, the odd part about that is he had no shirt on and he had his tights and boots on still, yet he still had his luggage. Now, this happened earlier in the night. What I'm telling you now about him driving off and telling all that happened later on in the night, like way later. So he got in his car and drove off. Now, I don't know what the procedures are there, but why would you have your ring gear on still and just drive away? Like, are your regular clothes in the bag? Where are you going like that with no shirt and some tights and boots on? Are you going to Walmart? Because there's no way. Why didn't he have his regular clothes on and his tights and sweats in the bag? I thought that was weird, but I digress. Either way, it was great storytelling. Now we go on to the women's championship match, a fatal four-way between Stephanie Becker, Julia, Jordan Grace, and Jada Parker. Great match, best women's match on the card. They were all beating each other up. Stephanie was beating up people. Julia was looking nice and beating up people. Jordan Grace was beating up people for sure. And Jada Parker was doing her thing. Now, I will say in a nutshell that at the very end, we kept getting Stephanie and Julia having these face-offs throughout the match, and Jada even looking like she might have a chance of winning, but not really. Even Jordan Grace looked great in the match, but I was pretty convinced that Stephanie was going to win, and she did by pinning Jada. Now, she hit her little move where she grabs you by the head with her legs and starts pow, pow, pow. Booker T was doing his Booker T thing. The chants were going crazy, and I'm pretty sure Booker T is going viral again. But at the end of the day, the takeaway is it was a great match, and Stephanie retained her title. Now, since all this happened, and there's 4 titles on the line, right? We have the North American, the Women's North American, the Tag Team, the World Championship, and then the Women's title, right? One of them was vacant. That was the Women's North American Championship. So that itself doesn't matter, doesn't count, I'll say. So we got 2 and 2. I'd assume that 2 retain and 2 lose. So since we had Fraxium lose and we had the women's championship retain, that's 1 and 1. We had the women's we had the tag team championships lose, the women's retain, the women and we had the North American Championship retained. So I'm sure we had 1 more to lose. Now, 1 more I thought was going to be Obafemi. Well, this is what happened in the main event. So Obafemi versus Trick versus Javon was probably the best match I've ever seen in Stand and Deliver history. Even though I've only watched the last 2 Stand and Delivers, the fact that they were highlighted by 3 black men as the main event and even a black ref, that was a great sight to see. And everybody showed out. There was kicks, punches, flips, punches, power bombs, punches, suicide dives, punches, planches, punches, and it was just a great circuit of moves. Now, I thought Javon Evans was going to win. I was hoping so, but I guess it's not his time. Nobody thought Trick Williams was going to win because they're like, oh, he's going to get called to the main roster anyway, right? So that leaves Obafemi, and the crowd was behind Obafemi. They were behind Javon too and Trick, but they you can tell they put their money on Oba Femi because they were chanting Oba louder than everybody else. Oba was cooking. Oba was kicking out at 1 like he was Kenny Omega. He was getting hit with a 10-star frog splash from Javon Evans, kicking out at 1, choking Evans out, and getting hit by a cutter by Evans. Evans was cooking for a while, hitting all these super cutters and everything else, doing all these moves, even power bombing big Oba Femi. So we thought that Javon Evans was going to win. He didn't. It was a problem. It was messed up, but he did not win. He ended up getting pinned after Trick Williams hit the trick knee to Javon, and after Trick Williams got dealt with by Oba, and how Oba had basically super power bombed Javon Evans, and he retained his title. So that's pretty much all that happened. Just want to give you a wrap up of everything. I would give you move by move, but NXT is a little different speed than WWE. So it's kind of hard to just say every single thing that happened because it is at lightning breakneck speed. But I'll tell you, I cannot do the matches justice. Go watch Stand and Deliver. It was definitely worth it, definitely great, and you'll definitely have a great time. Now we got to get some sleep so we can see WrestleMania 1, and hopefully it won't be disappointing compared to this classic of a pay-per-view we just saw with NXT Stand and Deliver. All right, so if you don't know me, I'm DJ. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. If you got to the end, please hit that bell for notifications so you can see more great videos like this. And let's hang out later and watch WrestleMania Night 1 in just a couple hours and watch WrestleMania Night 2 tomorrow. You dig? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all on the next one, and make sure y'all get y'all some rest. Today was a classic. Peace.